So this is part 3 of how I was reborn on the 4th of July, where I talk about my story. I've already shared a little bit about my military service and my discharge. And in this video, I'm going to talk about, very briefly, my experience in progressive Christianity and the intentional community movement, or the new monastic movement. And as I was getting out, I had reached out to certain members of the new monastic community, Jonathan Wilson Hartgrove, Shane Claiborne, Chris Haw, and I visited them on one of the last blocks of leave I took as I was getting out before I went to Israel, Palestine. And when I visited them, I was offered a place to stay by Chris Haw in Camden, New Jersey. And I spent, by the end, I spent about 2 years in Camden, and at the time it was the most violent city per capita in the nation. So the most violent crime, the most murders was in Camden, New Jersey. And I lived on a street corner in the community, the Camden House community, right across from a Catholic church in a really, most of Camden is a hard area. But while I was there, I read a lot. I read a lot of philosophy. I dated a woman, got married, later got divorced, and that's another separate story. But it was important to me, not only after deploying to Iraq and going to Palestine, it was important to me to face violence. As someone who was in control, who perpetrated violence as a member of the military, it was important to me, and one of the things I thought about a lot was what it means to not be in control of the violence around you. And Camden definitely did that for me. I also got my first job out of the military as a staff assistant for Iraq Veterans Against the War. And I became involved in anti-war protests and different events and community organizing with other veterans. And it was a really good experience. By the time I got out, I was skeptical of conservative Christianity and conservative Christians, and progressive Christians welcomed me because I had gotten out of the military and I'd refused to carry a weapon. And eventually, I'll talk about my education next, but I ended up going back to Iraq as a civilian with Shane Claiborne in a book that came out called The Gospel of Rutbah. And I'll talk more about that in another video, but it was really important to find community and to reflect on my time in service and what it meant with a community that could have those conversations. And I certainly got that while I was living in Camden.